Guys, welcome back to some more Afk Arena. Today we're on the pay to win account and we're just going to have a conversation about the Engraveyard boycott that seems to have come to an end. So ultimately I just want to go over a couple things that we have seen. So what was really the reason behind this was with the engraving system, it is very overpriced. Especially if you are a free-to-play player, and that was really one of the big really motivations. Was it wasn't coming from the whale territory, it was coming from the balance in the game and the free-to-play players that are being kind of penalized with the engraving system, because a majority of the heroes, you're talking 3 to 4 heroes getting maxed out per year. Now we're coming up on, I believe, 90 heroes within Afk Arena. So the engraving system is super expensive when you look at the overall cost of the engraving system itself. So what are some of the things that are very disappointed? Free to play has improved, but getting heroes to a plus 30 or a plus 60 engraving is not very accessible. They haven't given us enough resources to really make it that much of a difference to have an impact from a free-to-play perspective. So a lot of free-to-play players have just said, you know what, completely screw it. I'm not going to build engraving, or I'm going to build it super slow, just based on the resources that they were given, especially with the progression. They might be at a plus 30 or plus 60 on one hero. That is right, guys. We still have 3 more factions that engraving is coming to, and they might have it on one single hero, which is usually Lucretia or Ainz, and that's it. That's where they're stuck, and that's where they're going to be stuck for weeks. That is where they're going to be stuck for months. So the other thing with engraving is just the really overall engraving. The only thing that it really does is adds a ton of stats. The stat dynamic is really the thing that it adds. Most of these are just a little boost to what the level 3 was for the heroes, not really making groundbreaking. Like when you look at signature items, some heroes do not perform if you do not have a signature item at a plus 20 or a plus 30 signature item. We see the same with furniture bonuses. Some heroes, such as Albedo, if you don't have a plus 3 furniture, she cannot work at all. Some, if you don't have a plus 9, they are not very effective. Engraving is really just the stats. It does give a little bit more of a skill, but it doesn't carry the impact that we see with the power that signature items and with the power that furnitures bring, which unfortunately for a system being so expensive, it is not very player friendly as far as building up the heroes. The only thing that really dropped it as mandatory, and this is why so many people were upset with it, is when it comes to PvP, the raw stats make a difference. They make a really big difference when it comes to the PvP aspect. Is if you have a player that has them built versus a player that does not have them built, the stats gained from engraving, the pure raw stats gained from engraving will give that player an edge. And it was super expensive, like we had said before. You're talking tens of thousands of dollars to build out multiple heroes out for the PvP aspect in it. So what did we get from the boycott? So what did we get from the Engraveyard movement, the protest, the boycott, whatever you want to call it? Lab changes are in effect, guys. So when you're going through the Dismal Lab, you will see a significant amount of engraving mats throughout here, especially when it comes to the very last floor. They have upped the engraving mats considerably from these chests at the end of the floors. So we have seen an 80% boost to shards, 150% boost to cores, which is something that casuals presented to Lilith and said, hey, we need a way to get this kind of more balanced. It is really broken, which is one of the boycott. All of the guilds banded together, all of the whales banded together, tons of players, a ton of love and support, really banded together to say, hey, this is really broken. So they did give us a passive boost to the Dismal Lab, which they were not intending to. The cost has been cheaper with the integration of mechanics, such as hero growth packs, a lot of other things. They have added a considerable amount when it comes to some of the merchant stores, just to ease some of the engraving mats, including the Noble Society, adding the mats in there as well, which you do kind of have to trade off if it's going to be red chest, if it's going to be pull coins, or if it's going to be engraving mats. It is ultimately your decision, but they have built them into different areas. We've also seen them built into a majority of the events, including the Misty Valley when they added 5 new stages in the Misty Valley, adding in both the shards and the cores. Some of the changes I would definitely like to see is the cost right here, guys. 200 diamonds for 10 of these, not very cost efficient whatsoever, because you do need a considerable amount of those to level up. It is just it's asinine to spend 600 diamonds to buy 30 of these. It's an asinine amount to go ahead and get that done. So the rebalance moving power from whale tiers to earlier engravement levels. The protest was able to unite almost 100 different guilds across 8 or 9 languages and cultures, guys, really to come together as a movement. It was very cool to see. And again, we did see some changes from Lilith. Now, what would we like to see happen? More accessibility to the engraving 30, the engraving 60, just allowing the player base to stay more in line. So the big thing is, like I was saying with PvP, and you'll see the same with the campaign, is if you're running multiple heroes with a higher level of engraving, because you are pay to win, you are going to be far ahead of a free-to-play player, which has always been the case, but it seems like the kind of staple between the two, or the dimension between the two, just keeps getting further and further as they introduce more things into AFK Arena. Couple other things, making the system more interesting. Again, when you look in the engraving overall, it just comes down to raw stats. There's not really much there. Even with the 2 skills you get at a +30 and a +60, they are not game-changing stats, just like we see with signature items, what we see with furniture. A little bit different. Make the system more relevant for non-carries, which is building Lucretia, which is building Ions, which is building the heroes that are very prevalent within AFK Arena already. I would like to see them build out a couple other heroes. It's a big opportunity for them to make heroes that are not used very much, could really have a solid benefit from engraving. But as we know from poor Almas, even with the engraving, he still gets absolutely sad. With his 4th value, they did nothing to help Almas overall. A couple other heroes that are kind of the B, C, D tier, lower tiers, where the engraving could have had a really big effect on stats or could have a really big effect on abilities. Lilith really fell short. So even looking just at the Wilder faction itself, Raku is already super powerful, used in the campaign, used in Twisted Realm bosses. His engraving is just making him that much stronger. Same we see with Saurus and other heroes that we're already using. They're just making him stronger. They did have an opportunity, again, to make a lot of other heroes different, which they didn't do. Making the system more relevant, again, to the non-Harrys, or the non-carry heroes. So again, this is going to end the engraving. You know, talking to Newton last night over on Discord, and ultimately, guys, the boycott is going to be done at this point. So as you can see, most of the free-to-play and graveyards have already disappeared. These could even be a lot of players that are not here or do not play any longer that you're seeing, but the boycott is over. So go ahead and take off the free-to-play engraving. Tombstone, ultimately, we seen very little movement from Lilith, which was kind of disappointing, but also AFK Arena has slowly been falling kind of down the tier. Rise of Kingdom is now their #1 game. They hit them up for a really heavy pay-to-win patch. Boycott was there. Warpath has done the same, a relatively new game from Lilith, which surpassed AFK Arena in downloads and with purchases. Again, a really strong boycott in Warpath. And if you play any of these games, you know this, and we've seen the same with AFK Arena. So for some reason, lately, Lilith has just went very heavy, hardcore pay-to-win in a majority of their games, and a lot of the players have been boycotting it. And we've seen it across multiple games from the same company. So it's no change. But again, guys, this is going to end the boycott. So go ahead, let me know in the comments what you guys think. We did get a couple little changes in there to make the engraving system a little easier, but ultimately it is just going to take an incredible amount of time and just build heroes little by little by little as you get the resources to do. So again, guys, let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.